When the market becomes uber competitive again for buyers in 2024 because rates have dropped like 1% to 2%, how do you win in that type of environment? Remembering 2021 and 2022 when there was so much demand in the market, people were overbidding and just kind of going crazy and it was so hard to get a house? Here's how you win in that type of environment, and it's gonna sound really simple, but there's one main thing that you can do right now to prepare for that type of environment so you can win. But first, I'm going to tell you two quick stories to drive home how incredibly important that not skipping this step will be in the very beginning stage of the process. So the first quick story is when we meet prospective buyers in open houses, or sometimes we get phone calls from them, and we bring up the topic of financing, getting the pre-approval, have we taken that step? And a lot of buyers are like, nope, I've bought homes before, I'm uber qualified, I know how this goes, don't worry about it. When we used to let that kind of slide and start working with the buyer, we ran into many problems because again, buying a home now is much different than it was buying a home 2, 3, 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, and lending has changed, right? So evaluating those nuances up front might pull up a technicality that we can address now and make sure that it doesn't kill the deal later on in the 11th hour because we didn't identify it up front. The second story is even more harder to take, is that sometimes people, and this happened with very close friends of mine, I sat down with them a couple of weeks ago, and they had the market kind of pass them by over the last couple of years because they made some assumptions in terms of like what lending would be, or that rates were really high right now and prices were really high, that they thought that they just couldn't afford it or they just couldn't make it happen until rates or prices came down. So they were waiting for some significant correction. Well, the challenge was once we finally got them in front of the lender and they were able to really evaluate their situation, they realized that at that time back then, it would have been a lot easier for them to make the move and secure the financing and buy the new home. Then had they made the move and got the right information than it was right now. So that experience, though, helped shed some light that it's more attainable than they really had thought. And so now they're putting the steps in place to make sure that they are ready and qualified and can be able to qualify for the loan of the home of their dreams. So when that is ready, sometime later part of this year, they could take advantage of it before the market starts to skyrocket even further. Had they waited and just accepted those assumptions and not got the real information, they might have let this market pass them by too. So the moral of the story is don't skip the step of talking to the lender ahead of time and either use it as a planning session to get yourself in line, and or make sure that you've identified and addressed any hurdles that you could be, and having that pre-approval letter in as far as you can in the underwriting process. That way there you can react quickly and ensure that you can close to make you a very strong buyer in 2024 and a very competitive market. That is going to be the one key difference that's going to set you apart from everybody else. I hope that helps. If you have any other questions on how these stories may affect you, don't hesitate to call or leave me a comment below.